Okay, are we ready?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. Welcome everyone to the Kelseyville, the Big Valley Advisory Council. My name's Rick White. I am the chair of this council. To my left is Arno Huber, and to my right is Mark Lips. I just want to read the purpose of our council so everyone's on the same page. The purpose of the Big Valley Advisory Council is to increase the participation of the Kelseyville area residents in the decision-making processes that affect their community, their local area plan, and the Lake County General Plan. The Big Valley Advisory Council Board will serve as the official local community representative to work with Lake County Board of Supervisors or other entities and agencies to provide grassroots input, direction, and guidance on issues related to the unincorporated area of the county defined by the Kelseyville Planning Area Map, attached to these bylaws and as Exhibit A. These issues include, but are not limited to, matters of public health, safety, welfare, public works, and economic development, planning, and land use. Okay, so we're going to go to our agenda tonight. And we have one absentee tonight, so there'll be just the three of us. And I hope that our members up here have reviewed their minutes. There are only a few handouts of the meeting minutes, and I think I'll ask Jessica for a budget so we can print more out in the future, but we'll deal with that later. So right now, let's start with a motion to approve the meeting minutes for November 12th.
Approved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, minutes approved. Okay, we're going to open a mic up back here for public comments. So if you have a comment or maybe an agenda item you'd like to see us discuss in the coming month, this would be a good time for that.
Okay, I'll be here till Thursday. Try the roast beef. A year ago, I heard a horrific story about human trafficking here, locally, not Kelseyville, but Lake County. And I started looking into it, and then I read a New York Times article about human trafficking, and they mentioned California. California has jumped in that area from number 3 to number 1. And I'm now the area governor for the Lake County Rotary Club. So we had Polyclass Foundation come in and speak to all the clubs. We also had Lake Family Resources speak to it. And we began to find out more. And we decided that let's apply, if we get all the clubs together, let's apply for a grant to educate on human trafficking. Kelseyville Rotary stepped up and volunteered to be the lead club, and so Polyclass helped us develop the grant, and we put it together, submitted it, and we were awarded dollars to bring in Polyclass Foundation expertise, which they have done this presentation, and it's the sexual exploitation of children online. Now, it's not grabbing them at a mall or anything. They're reaching these kids online, and we are vulnerable. We check all the boxes. We're rural. We have low-income areas, uneducated areas. We have a lot of single-parent homes. I mean, I know people. I talked to a kid the other day who's living in a shelter with his mom, and I talked to another. I know of another kid who lives in a tent with his parents. And these kids are vulnerable because they can be offered gifts, money, all of that stuff. And as it turns out, Polyclass has done this presentation to middle schoolers primarily about online trafficking to all the counties around us, but they've never been here. So we brought them here, or we're bringing them here in January to do presentations to the school districts all around the county. We're going to do 6 presentations. One of them will be in Spanish, and we are, like I said, doing them all around the county. We're also going to pilot a program in Kelseyville where we're training high school students to actually do the presentation to the middle schoolers, which, as you know, these middle schoolers, they look at these high school kids as their heroes. That's who they look up to, more so than listening to an adult tell them the way they, you know, about the dangers of online trafficking. But we're going to provide dinner. We've had, huge thanks to Jessica Paiska and E.J. Crandall for donating to this initiative. Redbud Healthcare District donated, and all the schools have donated dinner and the venue to do the presentations. So we're going to do those presentations, and we're going to also have childcare available. We want to take away all the barriers that will prevent anyone from going to this presentation. We also don't require that you sign your name, that you tell us. We'd like to know if you're going to be there, so you can check the box, I will be there, but not mandatory that you sign your name. We don't want you to be afraid to show up, okay? So we're going to give away door prizes, really nice door prizes. We're going to do anything we can do to incentivize these parents to show up and get educated on the red flags to look for with human trafficking, online human trafficking. In success, we'll take the pilot program we're doing for Kelseyville and we'll move it to the other schools and train kids there. And we'll continue this curriculum in a sense. But if there's any questions, more than happy to help you out, answer. And if you want a flyer, both English and Spanish, just let me know and they're available.
Is it for kids and their parents?
It is for parents and their kids, correct. We would love it if the middle, and we're targeting the middle school, but you know, elementary, they're starting to go younger. We know a 5th grader that got trafficked, and she killed herself. So, I mean, it's stuff that we pushed under the rug, okay? In 2018, we were told, AB, I think it was 1270, said that we are to have a CSEC representative in every county in California. And it may have changed now, but one of the things that I talked to Brock and I've mentioned before too is I went to the website. Every county has a CSEC representative listed, Lake County, 0. Okay? So it's important. We check all the boxes. You got Highway 5, you got Highway 20 and 101. You can hide here really easily and then move you over to Sacramento, which at one point was #1 with human trafficking in California a few years ago, and then San Francisco, LA, wherever. 74% is sex trafficking and the rest is labor trafficking. So anyway, there you go. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Hey, Mark, I have a quick question.
Oh, we got a question.
Have you guys made a presentation to the school board for Kelseyville?
You know what? It's funny you should say that. I just sent out a newsletter update to all the superintendents and all of that, and the one thing I completely forgot to do was make presentations to the school boards. I've done superintendents and principals and the elders. I met with the elders for all the tribes. I met judges' breakfast, all these places. Completely forgot about the board. So I got to find out when the next board meetings are.
We have one on Monday.
Monday. That's great. That is
Presentation, just reach out to Dr. Thomas.
Dr. Thomas. Okay. Nikki? Oh, Nikki? Oh, okay. Yeah, absolutely. Nikki's great. Yeah. All right. Good to know. Thank you, Wes.
Okay, well, next speaker, please identify herself and
I will. Good evening, I'm Terry Derenick. I know many of you, many familiar faces. Great presentation, Mark. Our Rotary Club is part of this project. I'm here tonight as the president of the board of Kelseyville Senior Center. This building that we sit in, that we are looking forward to being renovated by the county. We are now tenants of the county in the building. But tonight I wanted to talk with you just a bit about the homeless population that lives in the park across the street. and the concerns that we have. Most of the people that come to the center look a lot like me. And the biggest issue right now is that back door. The back door is a solid door. If somebody knocks on it, I've got two choices. I can run over there and answer it, and I have no idea who's behind it, or I can let them knock and hope they go away. But a lot of the time, it's our clients who, for whatever reason, need to get back in or need to get in to use the restrooms or whatever. So I am hoping that this group perhaps will be able to help crack this nut, if you will. Before I left, my husband said to me, well, ask if social services in the county has talked to these people individually to find out what's your story, why are you here? You know, I'm hearing rumors, and for me it's just rumors, that there's drug problem, alcohol problems, that at one point they had the restroom and were using it as a place to sleep, which, by the way, if I was in that position, boy, I would too. So I get that, and I don't like standing here as the not in my backyard representative, but that's kind of where I'm at. We have Ability Road, which is a nonprofit that provides us with services. They provide us with kitchen service and janitorial service 5 days a week. And the gentleman who is, I guess I'll call him the supervisor of the group that's coming in, shared with us that he is hearing from parents of some of the people that come to Ability Road for training that they're not sure that they want their people to be here because of the concerns about safety. So that's my plea to you. What do we do about this? How do we fix it? Lars, my question to you is, if I want to put a peephole in that back door, is that doable? That way, at least when I go to the door, I can look out and say, oh, sure, this guy, I know this person, I should answer the door, and if it's somebody else, no. So anyway, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good evening, Big Valley. Margot Kambara. Tomorrow morning, Community Development Department, CDD, will be presenting to the Planning Commission. The topic is high priority changes to the county's cannabis ordinance. The item is scheduled to start at 9:20 a.m. Neighbors might be interested in the proposed hours for farming, retail, and delivery for cannabis operations. The agenda is available online at www.lakecountyca.gov. Also on the agenda are instructions to participate online. If you are interested in attending in person, the meeting is going to be held at the Lake County Courthouse, 255 North Forbes Street, Lakeport, in the Board of Supervisors chambers. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. We'll move to the reports from our supervisors, and we only have one here tonight. Jessica from District 5.
Okay, so I just want to share that I'm so happy the Rotary is taking the lead on this, and I'm really happy that some of the District 5 discretionary funds can be used for this program because it's really important. Several years ago, this happened to my niece. She was here in Lake County. She was a teenager, and she was tracked online by a predator and told her parents, my sister, and law enforcement was involved, and they did a sting operation, and they caught that person, and they were very clear that they were going to cause her harm and do terrible things to her. So this is very real. It's in our community, and so and there's just hundreds of stories like that here. So it is really important. So I'm glad to see that this program is getting off the ground, and hopefully some presentations can be made to the school board so that we can really cover this as well as we can and keep it in everyone's, in the front of everyone's mind, because so many of our youth are vulnerable. And then, Terry, for your comments, we've had a lot of conversations here at the BVAC, and I don't know if, were you here for the meeting with behavioral health? Was that October? It was October. So it was a long meeting, and we had a lot of things to talk about, and so you might want to go back and watch that video. But I do have the phone number. We don't have a peer support center in Kelseyville like most of the other communities around the county, but we have a crisis van, behavioral health crisis van. The number is 800-900-2075, and they come out to the park once a week, and they talk with the folks there. They're getting to know them. There's a lot of things that are going on with the behavioral health services, and it might be a good opportunity for them to come and meet with your board and your staff to kind of talk about this a little bit more. And I think that's why we're having the conversation about the park. So there was a law enforcement conversation, I think, in September.
Yep.
Then there was behavioral health in October. And today we're going to talk about the park from the Parks Parks Department, so or Public Services. So this has been a topic of high concern for this group. So I'm glad that we've had a lot of chance to dig into it, and I think we will more tonight. But we can set something up with your board if you want to have a one-on-one conversation with staff, because it's important that everybody feels safe. Yeah, of course. Okay. On that, the pit count, and the pit count it's called the point in time count, so it's PIT, and it is a nationwide day of counting those who are experiencing homelessness in our communities. So we do that the same day every year all across the country. It is the fourth Thursday of January, and so that this year it's January 22nd. And I have participated in the pit count for many years here in Kelseyville. And what you do, so there's food, there's resources, we really want to be able to interact with and interview the people that are in this community. And you learn a lot about them. And most of the people that hang out in this park and that are around Kelseyville grew up here. This is their home. And they've had, hard times. These are not, this is not a transient population. These are Kelseyville people. And you'll learn that if anyone here wants to participate in the pit count, I really encourage you to do it. And I can connect you with the group that's in planning, and you can walk around, you can give out flyers, you can do interviews. There's a lot that you can do. But the most important thing is that you learn about the people here and start developing relationships. So I think that is that's incredibly invaluable. So really encourage folks to do that. I should have brought, I can get some info. If anyone's interested, I will get you the information tonight. I'll let you know, because I've got lots of emails and who to contact you with, because it's a big effort, and we have it in every single community around the county. And most of the people you interview, like I said, are from here, but we still have people that are fire survivors that are still homeless. So there's a lot. It's really interesting to learn the reasons why people are still homeless, what they would need, on pit count day, it's like Christmas because there's so many resources here for the one day. But the crisis van that comes every week to the park also has a lot of resources. And so they are really building those bridges and building trust and building relationships to try and get these folks what they need to move on to the next steps, take next steps in their life. So I think it's really good timing with all the conversations that we've had around the park, and that we've got pit count coming up. So I'll get you that by the end of the meeting. I want to give you an update on the Coal Creek work. So we've had presentations here. There's been a lot going on. And I mean, for those of you that don't know, all of Coal Creek floods for the last several winters. It's been a lake out there. There's been hitch stranded everywhere. It's been in the fields. It's been a real mess. And so we put together a working group. They presented here. The kind of the end of the season wrap up is a lot of sediment removal was done on the east side of the Clark Drive Bridge, which was reported out by the group before. But just this week, work finished up on the vegetation that's been it's been collecting in the creek on this side of the Clark Drive Bridge down through Soda Bay. The water would just spread. If you ever tried to take that road, you would see water and fish everywhere. So there was a lot of vegetation that was in the creek. It was really clogging it and congested. And so over the last week, we had 25 people from CDFW and CCCs out there clearing. They took 20 trailer loads of vegetation out of the creek. So that is a big deal. And luckily we had some clear weather for them to get that done, because we weren't sure we would be able to get it done in time for the rainy season. So hopefully, with both the sediment removal done on the east side and the vegetation clearing on the west side, we're going to see some improvements this year. And there's still more work to be done, but this was a massive effort. And it's all, the reason why we're able to do that much work is because of the hitch emergency, because this is hitch habitat and the hitch were getting stranded. So we were able to get a lot more emergency funding to do this work that's been a problem for a long, long time. So this huge effort by not just county staff, state resources, but the people that live out there have been really proactive and helpful and coordinating. So it's been like an all hands approach to fix that problem out there. So I'm really glad to everyone who participated. We meet monthly and keep working on these plans moving forward. So I do want to report out on the how the government shutdown affected SNAP benefits and CalFresh. We took that really seriously at the board because we have about a quarter of our population in Lake County relies on CalFresh benefits, which is SNAP at the federal level. And so that's over 16,000 people. That's a lot. And we knew that we were already seeing a high level of need because people at distribution sites it's been ramping up for a while. And last spring, when there were some decisions made at the federal level, we noticed even more need. But the Gleaners, Clearly Cleaners, they are our food bank, our official food bank. Redwood Empire Food Bank is supplemental, but they actually don't get paid to come to our county. They do it because they recognize need. They're a big organization. They cover a lot of counties, and they come and do distributions here because they see the need. They don't get any funding for it. They actually take funding from their other counties. And they had to cut back last spring when these changes were made, and philanthropic donations were falling down. So Redwood Empire pulled back, unfortunately, and we had more need. So we were really worried about what was going to happen through the shutdown. And people were making decisions that they needed to make with the little bit of money that they had. So we knew that even when the shutdown ended, there would still be a lot of need. So the Board of Supervisors, we gave $40,000 a week to Redwood Empire Food Bank to backfill all the pantries, because that's what our strategy was. We knew that people go to these locations, they have trusted relationships with these partners, the church pantries, senior centers, everybody that does food distributions. Redwood Empire just came in and filled them up because they were getting completely cleaned out on distribution day. and also funded more with the Gleaners. So for those 2 weeks of the shutdown, it was $40,000 a week. We also gave bus passes because what we were finding was people would go to sites and they would run out of food. The Gleaners prepare bags and boxes and they would wait in line. I mean, I did a lot of traffic control, standing in line with people waiting in their cars, only to find out that they had run out of food at the site. And then they can go to Finley to get food, but not everybody can make it. And, you know, when I was up in Cobb, you know, people don't have gas sometimes to come down here, or over in Lucerne, they didn't have transportation. So that was another piece of this program, is to give people bus passes so they could get to the sites. And then recognizing that there would be some ongoing need, the board is giving $20,000 a week to Redwood Empire, just short term right now, for people to like get back on their feet. But we're still seeing really high needs in our community. And I don't see that getting better. With the passage of H.R. 1, there's going to be even more need. So it's really important that we continue to look out for each other. One thing that we were able to do to help support the Gleaners is the Lake County Community Foundation is a new foundation. They now have a donation portal that will get funding to the Gleaners. If you want to make a donation, if you want to have a recurring donation, like monthly or quarterly, that was something that the Gleaners didn't have. So that's a really important way for us to raise money here. If you donate food, it's great. There's a lot of work that goes along with that, you know, checking expirations. If you give money, they can spend every dollar goes much further with the food banks because of all these agreements that they have. So it's a really good thing to do if you are able. All the money that goes to the Gleaners stays in county. If you donate to Redwood Empire, it supports the whole system. So some people, you know, want their money to stay in Lake County. That's great. But also, you know, Redwood Empire also shows up for us too. So just some ways, if you're looking at ways to give, like those are some really good options that really, really help people. We also worked hard at making sure that the organizations that provide meals were able to scale up if they needed to, because there was a lot of need when people showed up for different places. Did you have more people showing up here? No? Okay. Well, so your need has been steady. Okay. Well, let us know if you start to see more people that are coming for lunch. Gosh, I have so much great news for you guys. The FAIR plan has requested increases and likely will go through. And so Kelseyville zip code is looking at over 30% increase. Cobb and Lucerne, North Shore have the highest, which is about 43% in the county, but over 30% is very high. It's likely going to go through. And so if you're on the FAIR plan, you're likely going to see that type of increase next year. I will say that I'm working on some plans that I think will give relief. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to report on that in the next couple of months, because there are things that we can do. I pretty much have given up trying to have this fix be legislative at either the state or federal level. I'm just not sure that's going to happen. But there are some things that we can really do for ourselves at our home, at our home level, and also at the community level, that are really proven at a reducing rates. So I'm more to come on that. But I want you to know that I take this very seriously. I'm working really, really hard on it, because when we think about the food insecurity, higher insurance rates, you know, people having higher health insurance rates, like there are so many things right now that are squeezing us. And this is not sustainable for all of these costs that we have escalating. So I'm working on trying to find ways to make sure that we can, we can still all be okay, because this is a very serious time. So Supervisor Rasmussen wanted to let you guys know that the Big Valley Groundwater Sustainable Plan meeting is tomorrow. That is at the courthouse, conference room B at 11. And for those of you that don't know what this means, does anybody know what this means? Okay, you guys do. So Big Valley is a basin of medium concern. And so with SGMA, Sustainable Groundwater Management, Big Valley is a basin of medium concern, which means that the state is concerned about it at a medium level. Now, in San Joaquin Valley and those other counties, like, they're high concern, their ground is shifting down, there's like a lot going on there. But areas like ours where it's medium concern, it's a tricky place for us to be because we have very costly annual reports to make sure that we stay in compliance with the plan that was created just a couple of years ago, which was all grant funded. But those annual reports are very expensive, $100,000. And then there's 5-year reports, $500,000. They're very, very expensive. And luckily we had some funding that we could move over to pay for this, about $300,000 to cover the next couple of years. But we're not able to get grants for this, so this is a problem for us. Now, in the basins of high concern, they assess the property owners, and the property owners pay for this. But I don't feel like that is an okay thing for us to do in Big Valley, because we are not big agriculture. And so there are some other counties that are similar to us that have similar situations, where this is not a one-size-fits-all situation. And so last week I was at the CSEC week for the whole conference, which is the California Association of Counties. And because I am the chair of the policy committee for agriculture, environment, and natural resources, we talked a lot about SGMA and this. And so I'm just about to start some really big advocacy with this to see if we can get some changes for basins of medium concern, because we need help. This is basically an unfunded mandate for us, and it's very expensive. And I don't feel like we should be passing this off to the property owners when it's not a high concern basin. So more to come on that. And then, so the FEMA work that I've been doing, because I am on the disaster task force with the National Association of Counties, so we are working on FEMA reform. We have a House bill that has very strong bipartisan support, and then there's a Senate bill that we're also trying to get traction on, and it looks like we might, because FEMA has been discussed a lot this year. And thankfully, after the Texas floods, dissolving FEMA is not an option, thankfully. So what does it look like moving forward? Everybody agrees that there are some big changes that need to happen to FEMA, and most people agree on what they are. This legislation that we've been working on has a little bit been on hold because we've been waiting for the White House counsel to release their report, which they're releasing this week, so we'll have more work on that. But basically everybody agrees that there's just a few fixes that would make it a lot easier and more equitable too for places like ours that we do so much work for mitigation. So more to come on that, but it does have me traveling a lot. So in DC in October. I'm going to be back again in January and back again in February. So if I'm not here for those meetings, that's why. But I think I will be able to make these meetings. And then hopefully we can have more to report on in the spring. And then the last thing I want to bring up is the BVAC bylaws. So we have some vacancies, and we've gotten applications, but in the bylaws, it says you have to have come for 4 meetings. And I think we've made some appointments anyway. And ultimately, it is up to the Board of Supervisors. It's, at their discretion. But I would suggest that maybe next month, put something on the agenda, where maybe you could keep your 4 meeting requirement, but maybe allow for a waiver if the applicant has, demonstrated significant community work or something like that, so that it can work for you, so that we can more easily appoint people and not have long-standing vacancies. So that's just a suggestion.
Okay.
So, any questions?
In the back. Weston.
Can you speak about the Sonoma Clean Power and that, and what our next steps are?
So, yeah, the board did not take a vote on that. I'm sorry, what? Oh, yeah, he had a question about Sonoma Clean Power and next steps. The board did not take a vote on that. So, I'm not sure where we are with that right now.
And then what would it take for us? I mean, I think there's, right, the bigger. Sure. So the bigger question is, really trying to have an energy policy for Lake County, to be able to, where do we want to be in 20 years kind of thing, but to have an energy policy, whether that's a committee, an energy committee that proposes a policy or something along those lines, but is there a conversation happening, and kind of what are those next steps?
Yes, so that was the direction that the board gave to staff, is to start working on that. It hasn't been that long. I haven't gotten an update, but yes, 100%. We need to be moving in that direction, and that is what the board gave direction to staff to do.
And obviously, my concern is that it just goes away.
Yes,
So that's
correct. Mine
to
too.
keep it.
I'm
to
very
keep it-
disappointed.
Yes.
Yeah.
To
It
keep
was-
that front of mind, and like I said, where we can have, at least some kind of plan in terms of what we want to do.
Yep. We're going to keep working on it. Tom? Trina, stop at Trina.
Sorry, Trina Pauly. I have a question. Is the van services for behavioral health being utilized by the park people?
They come here once a week. They've got a ton of resources in there, and so, yeah, they do.
But I'm just asking, is it being utilized by the homeless?
I think, yeah.
Okay.
I
I
mean,
mean,
they,
it's there. I'm just wondering how many people are taking advantage of that? That
Well,
was just the question is.
yeah, from the last meeting, and it might be a good thing for you, because at the last meeting, if you want to watch the video, the people that are in the van and come here every week talked
Okay.
about how they're interacting with the folks, and kind of dug a little bit deeper into what's going on.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so it might be a good thing to check out.
Any other questions for Jessica? Nope, Tom?
Yeah, Rick. Just a couple comments. One is, as you know, we attend a lot of meetings around the county, and I just have to compliment you again, because these are always the best informed. You should, you can tell the amount of hard work that she puts into this for you guys and for the whole community. The other thing, just sort of a plug, we were talking about the Gleaners, just to make you aware, at the Socoriste this Sunday, there is not the word, Thank you. Benefit concert. And it would be really great to see, first of all, the Soparice is a great facility. It could use support as well. And I think it's hard to overstate the amount of hard work the Gleaners do. And they can really use our support. So again, thank you so much.
Yeah, and they always need volunteers too.
Yes. Please volunteer.
2 p.m. Sunday, Soparice.
Yeah. Great. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Okay, the next agenda item, Lars Ewing, who is the Public Services Director, Interim Public Works Director. He's going to talk about park planning process. And I'm sure this has something to do with our park right next door.
Well, I expect it does, yeah. First off, this Sunday, 2 o'clock, right? I'm excited about being there. I will be there. Another county employee and a friend of mine. I'm not sure if he's playing, Matthew. I believe he is. So yeah, it's a Deputy County Administrative Officer for the county. Talented musician, and I look forward to. I've been meaning to hear him, so it's a chance for me to see someone I know. But I appreciate you saying that. So yeah, introduction. I've been here before, but and I certainly see some familiar faces. But by way of introduction, Lars Ewing. I'm the Public Services Director and currently the interim Public Works Director as well. So there's one kind of main focus tonight that has already been discussed. Happy to answer any other questions that are in the realm of public services and public works, and just to put some context to that, the public services side is parks and recreation and trails, county buildings, solid waste management, and museums. And on the public works side, it's county roads, airport, engineering, and that's about most of the outward facing stuff there. So I say that just so we can try to narrow some of the questions, but maybe right, it is rather broad. So understand I may not have the answer, but I'll do my best to provide a response or get back to you. So. I was asked tonight to talk in I'm not going to say in general. I was asked to be here for what was already discussed here, the park right behind me, and I think it's important to note the context from which or the responsibility that my department has when it comes to the park. The word infrastructure is the way that I'm going to focus that, infrastructure and maintenance. So we Lake County. We have about 24 parks around the county in the unincorporated area, and the responsibility for maintenance and improvements, basically the maintaining the infrastructure there falls on my department. Now there's a lot of other players as we've discussed that are involved with parks and the individuals coming through the parks. But the way that I emphasize to the parks maintenance staff is that their job is to maintain that park. So that's an answer for an existing park. We certainly do improvements at other parks. We have 3 or 4 other parks right now that are either in design, one under construction. So we certainly do improvements and new parks, improvements to existing parks. But keep in mind it is focused on the actual infrastructure there. Another part to comment on is who are the parks for, right? The parks are for everyone. We go. It's not just for the kids. It's for everyone, every age group, and we by no means are we trying to be exclusive with them. And I say that from the perspective of how we design them. Now the park behind me, I can't tell you when it was designed. It was certainly not in my time here. But I think that the way that I can best maybe be of help is to hear some questions, try to answer any of those questions and take that information and go take it back to my office, so to speak. But happy to have a dialogue here. I also was asked about a couple of specific projects that I'd be happy to speak out on. Supervisor Pyska let me know a couple of them. One in particular, well, the two. One we're in is this building, and so just to get out ahead of that, I will let you know that just talk to the architect, the consultant architect. The plans are done. They're essentially bid ready. It's into the planning department to go through the environmental review, which we anticipate to be relatively minimal. We're modifying an existing building, and then we would get our building permit, and we anticipate going out to bids and being under construction in spring of 2026. So that's the update for this building. The other project that I was asked about is Canocti Road Sidewalks project. That is it's a grant-funded project, as is this building, partially grant-funded as well. But Canocti Road from essentially between the high school and the elementary school, the project proposes to put sidewalks on the south side of Canocti Road, pretty much from the creek to the elementary school, from the bridge to the elementary school. It's a long-standing project that, goodness, goes back, I think, a decade or more, and we are happy to announce that we just awarded, or the Board of Supervisors awarded the project to the low bidder, and we anticipate breaking ground in February. So that's the update on that project. But recognizing that the park behind me was the focus, happy to take questions on that or any of the others. So I'll just go ahead.
Thank you, Lars. Tom Lasik again. A couple questions. I know for this year, Department of Public Works maintained, repaved or all that, like close to 90 miles of road or something crazy like that. What is the plan for 2026? Calendar year, not fiscal year. How many miles is that? That's one question. The other question regarding the park here, I noticed parking here in the last, especially here when the sun sets earlier, the lighting on that. I don't think the lighting's I don't know if lighting's under your district or purview, but I know that it's quite dark, and for maybe safety purposes, that might be something to consider. And then thirdly, when are we going to remove the word interim from your title?
Well, I'll answer two of those questions. I won't touch the last one. The first question, I wish we were doing 90 miles of road a year. We did 38 miles of what we call pavement preservation, but basically what you see out there, chip seal, and it's not just a chip seal. There's some significant preparation work underneath that in certain areas as it needs it. But the county road crew, your county road crew, completed 38 miles, which is much more than they've ever done in years past, and that's not because I am the interim director. It's because they got new equipment that helped, and they have crew that new techniques, and they know what they're doing. And so the biggest thing that I can do is get out of their way. But before then, it's ensuring that they have the resources to do the work. And I've come at 2026. On Tuesday, I'm going to answer that question by saying that on Tuesday there's a presentation to the Board of Supervisors about that exact thing. So look for the board agenda being posted on Thursday or Friday, and there will be a presentation to the board. So I won't steal the board's thunder and say that I already gave the presentation with numbers to your council. But I'll say that it's optimistic, and I'm encouraged at what they've done. Now the other question behind me, the lights, lighting district, street lights typically wouldn't be under Public Works or the Public Services Department, but as it relates to a park, certainly. So I'll take that back to consider lighting, and I think what I would also offer, and I came more with the idea of fielding questions. But I will talk about kind of the park planning process. County has gone through park planning process for a variety of parks around the county. We go through a community-based planning effort, and that's basically, that means that we're going out and we're not just coming to the Big Valley Advisory Committee, nor are we going to just out in the park one day and getting input. thorough, I guess is what I would say, but we're trying to get a broad brush of input from members of the public through a variety of different methods, locations, times of day, times of week. That way we do our best to at least give as many people the opportunity to comment and provide input as possible. But that doesn't mean that everybody finds out, but we do our best to get the word out there. Most of the community-based planning effort that we go through is based on maybe there's a grant opportunity coming up, and we want to put together a concept plan for a park. It hasn't come up in my time with Public Services, which is about 10 years now. It has not come up from the perspective of there's a problem at a park that we need to solve, and I'm kind of gathering that idea here. I do want to offer that of the this is not a unique problem in parks. It's not unique in Lake County. It's not unique beyond Lake County. Parks are if you are someone experiencing homelessness, whether by choice or by lack of other options, parks are a natural place to go. The issue, and I wasn't here at the presentation a few months ago, but as I understand it, law enforcement was available or presented there. That's our first recourse. Ours meaning the parks maintenance staff. When there's an issue that they observe or that we are made aware of, we contact law enforcement. We contact the sheriff. I ensure that my staff, the parks maintenance staff, they are not park rangers. They are not deputized. Their job is to maintain the park, and they interact with the people in the park more than I would suggest, more than just about anybody else. They really, they know their names, they know the issues they're going through, and the last thing that I want is for them to have a bad relationship with them. So they're there to maintain the park, and we keep it there. So that doesn't mean that we can't attempt to address any issues here, but I will offer that whether it's the North Shore of Lake County, that's certainly a common area where we observe homelessness in the park. That might be more of a transient base, but I think here in Lake County it very much is localized. So. I'm not trying to minimize the conversation here, but I do want to understand that make sure that you recognize that it is not uncommon in parks. So this park, every park is unique in some way. This one, well, it's tucked away behind. It's not on a main drag. It's behind businesses, and I have to go back and maybe someone here knows the history of how it became a park. My observation with parks in Lake County is somebody donated property, or there was, hey, there's an opportunity to buy it at, pretty cheap rate. Let's make it a park, and we do. And that may be the case here. I don't know, but it certainly could it be better? Absolutely. Every park can. If we were designing it from the ground up, I'm sure that we would maybe do some things differently. But I'm not sitting on a pot of funds to come in and renovate the park to, I don't know, improve it for for park patrons. Let me just put it that way. That doesn't mean that we couldn't plan for that, and it's an opportunity to start looking at a goal of mine is to have a concept master plan for every park so that we have a playbook. Right now there isn't a site master plan for every park, and that's my goal. We're doing it right now. We need to be careful of bandwidth because both cost and staff time. There's only so much of it, but my goal is every year to get 2 site master plans completed for every park. This might present the opportunity to have the park right behind me to be the next one, and that would, the preparation of that master plan would include that community-based input to find out what are the what are the pros, what are the cons, what are the problems that we're looking to solve, what do you want to see in the park. I came into public services from the Public Works Department previously. 15 years ago I worked there, and parks, it's so optimistic, right? I love working with parks because it's fun. Your roads, doggone it, everybody expects a perfect road. And if it's not pristine, well, doggone it, there's a problem. But a park, a little bit more optimistic and fun. So I enjoy it, and I think it's a chance for us to at least dream about what it could look like, and we just temper that with the reality of what funding is available and what grant opportunities are out there.
So, Lars,
Yes.
there seems to be a push by many community members to actually, in the light of, first of all, this building being renovated, that's probably going to see more events, more activity. The lack of parking spaces in, downtown Kelseyville. There's a push by some community members to see that park turn into more parking spaces. What would be the process for them to see that happen if they want to move forward with this?
Well, I think the process would be taking that to the public to get input, and it's not a put it out to the vote and let's say which one wins, and it's somewhat sad, pave paradise and put up a parking lot is what comes to mind here, and I don't want to be too glib, but I recognize that there are competing needs, and we would need to receive public input and come up with a decision that is the best decision that we can make based on the information that we have. And so I think we start with a community-based planning process that comes to the public with okay, this park, what does the community want with this park? Well, and so that might mean that we take some of it or all of it and turn it and use it for parking. I don't have an answer to that. It would be driven by that public input. So happy to take the lead on that.
So how would that public input, what form would it take? Do they just go to the website and fill out the form?
That and then some. So the community-based planning process is, I think I mentioned earlier, where it's different methods, different locations. Some people are going to be great at having a survey online. Others are, doggone it, no, I don't want to see that. I want to have a face-to-face meeting. So that's what we have done. I'll just right down the road, Kelseyville Community Park. We did not get the grant for that project, but we went through a community-based planning effort to develop a concept site master plan for improvements there, some of which we've kind of piecemealed over the years based on funding that we had. But there was a community-based planning effort done, oh goodness, this is about 7-8 years ago, and it included public meetings, it included online surveys, it included coming to meetings like this. This predated that predated any of the advisory councils being in existence, but went to the school and received input from the kids directly, and so it's not one thing. It's many different formats.
Got it.
Trina Pauly, and I'm putting on my Kelseyville Business Association hat, so right now. So the idea about the park, the biggest thing is safety, both safety for the businesses, which you may have heard, a lot of the business owners use that park entrance and park back there and go back. It's dark. I think we talked about before lighting in conjunction with the renovation of the senior center to try to put additional lighting there. I thought that was going to happen, but I guess that wasn't part of it.
Well, I'll have to look back at the plans. I'm not familiar with them intimately.
Okay.
But the focus of the senior center renovation is the building and the adjacent. Certainly there's some improvements out here, but I don't believe it includes any lighting
Any
improvements.
lighting in the, yeah.
No, but again, that's taking that feedback from an advisory council like this, and I've heard it more than once, and so I think it's a great opportunity to come back. Now that's lighting. There are some things that we don't necessarily need to have community input and go through a community-based planning process to do minor improvements at a park, and so we just added, in fact, lighting at a park up in the North Shore. And so I think there's something that we can do to look at it, and I'm thinking of the guy right now that I'll be tasking that with. So I'll take that back and see what we can do.
Okay, because that parking lot will be used for the senior center. There's no other parking other than street parking
Right.
for the center. So hopefully that will be something. I don't like to see a park cemented in for parking either. However, we do have a parking issue downtown. So I think they were just throwing that out. Well, the park has problems. The park isn't lit. The park's drugs. It's a safety issue for both business owners and people who are coming to town, as you mentioned, for using the senior center or even shopping. So those were the things we're just trying to figure out. What's the best way to solve this problem?
Yeah.
And those are, a few things, maybe lights in the park would be a start.
Yeah, and as much as I said lights, hey, let me start in on that. I think if we start with that, the planning effort. I mean, if we're going to do away with the park, well then I would feel really silly if we just put lights in the park and then we're gonna get rid of the park. So I want to put our effort on the planning side of things, unless there's kind of a low-hanging fruit way of getting some lighting out there, which there may be. So I'll be looking at both. But what I'll commit to is getting that community-based planning effort, having some public meetings about the future of this park, and it can come across, not come across, but it can be as organic as hey, we haven't touched this park in a while, and we're updating the senior center. It's an opportunity to ask the public, and key stakeholders, what are we looking for this park? So I'll take that as I guess I'll just say public direction, which is who I work for. I guess yes, I work for you, but I work for the public as well.
And as you said, I think that's what we see as an opportunity. You're doing the senior center, it's right next to the senior center. Maybe there's some way combining the improvements.
Yeah, but keep in mind, funding is always an issue. The senior center renovation is phased in and of itself because there wasn't enough money for the grant. So to say that, well, let's just go out here and do this improvement or do that, we need to identify the money somewhere. We do have annually we have a park. I have a parks budget, obviously, and we have some funding for improvements, but it is finite, and so we need to look at that. And I'm not saying that as a cop-out. I'm simply saying that as if we want to turn this into a 5-story parking garage, I don't know that I have the funding for that. So
Not a bad idea.
Hi, my name's Carlene Ellis, and I've been a part of the senior center. I've been a part of the senior center for about 5 years, and I come in here regularly to help the seniors have lunch. We've had to call the sheriff twice. They've come in, the homeless have come in, or whatever they are, and they threaten us. They physically say, "I'm going to get you when you leave here." That's causing us a lot of problems. People don't want to come, they're afraid. I'm afraid. If I have 2 doors open, how do I know someone's coming in here, not hiding in a bathroom, hiding it's just, we try to rent, and it causes a lot of, they cause a lot of fear in people. And on top of that, we don't have enough parking, so we've got people complaining that they have to walk too far because we want them to come in the front door because we can see who's at the front door. So I'm just saying, if we're going to put money into this building and we want to serve our seniors, we want to serve our community, we really need to look at if this is helping us. I want to feed the homeless. I want to take care of them all. But I can't take care of the senior population as well as the homeless and make both of them comfortable.
Thank you, Lars. Margot Kambara. Could you comment, please, on, say, the hours of operation in other county parks and what kind of impact that is having, if any, on, say, homeless visitors overnight and such, and whether and how, it sounds like it would take an ordinance to propose hours of operation for a park. And of course, your staff is not into the monitoring, et cetera, but perhaps you can speak to what you know of what's happening nationwide or in the state as far as volunteer groups, like a neighborhood watch, saying, not quite patrolling, but at least like doing monitoring tours of parks? Thanks.
So locally, parks around the county are essentially, by and large, dawn to dusk. That the ordinance is dawn to dusk. Now, there are some where it's, the previous ordinance is very, not very different from that, but just slightly different. It might say 1 hour before or 1 hour after, but by ordinance, that is rule. The issue is enforcement of that. And I have had conversations with the current sheriff, the former sheriff, and the sheriff before him, in a very congenial, professional way of you know, we need some help. You know, we have people who are not following the law, and I'm not wearing a badge, so it's not for me to say, but I understand that they need to triage things. They only have so many deputies, and I'm sure you heard that last month or the month before. And if I were, imagine if one of my park staff were to call the sheriff and say it's after hours and there's someone in the park, they're not lighting up the you know, the sirens and coming out, right? I mean, they respond. I mean, the sheriff, I applaud them, and they, you know, they do a wonderful job. But to say that an ordinance of let's change the hours, that's going to make any significant impact, I don't think it would. Conversations I've had with the sheriff in the past is how about you know, can we take some of our park funding and shift it over into like a, you know, a dedicated law enforcement, have kind of a park ranger in a sense that is under the sheriff, and they make their rounds. And so there's something to be said for that. With that idea, for every pro, there's a con. Well, that's funding going away from parks maintenance. And it also it means that the sheriff, that's probably going to be the last position that he allocates. So if he has all of his positions filled, that one maybe he can assign someone to make rounds to go to the parks. But you know, generally there's some staff shortages there. So just to mention that it is something that we've had some conversations about. To talk about, you know, nationwide and you know, I don't know, you know, I really don't, because you know, there's a challenge in my opinion of comparing, you know, say a Lake County with, you know, well, here's what San Francisco does, right? Well, that's apples and oranges. But the groups, a friends of, you know, park or you know, I guess really what you were talking about is security, right? I can't remember the term you used here, but neighborhood watch, right? You know, absolutely. I think that would happen organically. I would say through the community, not necessarily as a group that the parks, you know, that parks maintenance would be the one to ensure security. But I think it would be a great idea for a community to come together and do that.
I have a question. What time, and maybe you guys know this, what time does the toilet, what time do the toilets close? Or are they locked up?
Yeah, they are, sorry, I don't know if this is a question to the group or to me, but.
Yeah, both.
Yeah, they do automatically lock, and I don't know the exact time, I'd have to, like.
Because I thought I thought they said at a previous meeting, 10 o'clock.
And it may be now across, that is not a magic bullet. We have a number of park restrooms around the area that we have automatic locks in there, and they get jammed, and they, you know, they're
Camping in there.
You know, they're used quite a lot. But yeah, they do.
I guess my
automatically
point
lock.
being, if the park closes, if the ordinance is dawn to dusk, shouldn't the restroom close at dusk?
What I would.
I don't know that the restroom there is really a local.
Yeah, I don't have a yes or no answer to that, but the answer that I do have is that where are they going if they're locked? Even though I know that they do shut down. primarily because they are used as homes. They are vandalized. They just are. They will tear apart a restroom. People, I don't mean they, I mean people tear apart a restroom for no good reason, and typically it'll happen at night. And so we shut them down out of preservation of our infrastructure. And by doing that, it does cause another problem of where do they go now? And that might be, I will harken back to the conversation earlier of if this park isn't there, where do they go? It doesn't eliminate a problem, and even calling it a problem is a problem, right? These are human beings, and we need to understand that. And so it's a little bit of a NIMBY. I mean, it is literally in the backyard. It's not a home; it's a senior center, so that adds a different layer. But I do want to just ensure that we understand that it is not a simple solution that will go away if we pave it and turn it into parking.
Just two more questions, at least for me. One, just to provide some context, when we talk about like putting in a street light, can you, in some of the small, what we might think as a public is sort of incidental infrastructure, like a street sign or whatever, what that actually costs to your department to do, like the gate on Highland Springs Recreation Area, or what does it take to do a street light and all that? And then my other question is more of maybe a suggestion, the hours for the senior center, I'm assuming are just a few hours open. And we talked earlier in a previous meeting.
How do you stop it? Start dancing.
Okay. All right.
You have an off switch?
There we go.
Okay, but on the other, maybe as a suggestion, behavioral health, they came out, I think in October, and discussed, having a relationship with the people that frequently use the park that meets them at their own level. If maybe during the hours that the senior center is open, say for meals, that there's a presence from them to, work with them so they, there's civility and respect from everybody. And that's not something that you can do, but maybe an idea to maybe bring back to the larger department to establish a relationship, because they work with them. They work with the homeless and the unhoused and the people with other issues. And I've seen them in action, and they're really good about getting them back, helping them, dialing them back, they won't calm down, and making the whole situation, a lot more safe.
Yeah. So the first question about the infrastructure in or any kind of public works, lowercase public works infrastructure. I mean, I don't have a straightforward answer to that because it depends upon a street light versus a a sign. I mean, it's everything's, but there's a cost. There's a cost to everything, certainly. And hearing the last piece, I think it's a great opportunity for Kelseyville Senior Center staff to have that conversation with behavioral health. I think it was one or two behavioral health directors ago that I had conversations with about parks and the observations that my park staff were seeing where things were just kind of ramping up, and I think that conversation is really was the genesis for the mobile van going around, and I applaud behavioral health for seeing a problem and coming in and trying to help. So it is exactly, yeah. So, but you're right. It is that that would be something that that behavioral health and I would think Kelseyville Senior Center, that would be a good conversation to have.
Yeah, I was just looking back on my notes. When the sheriff came, for everyone that wasn't here at that meeting, in 2024, there were 37 security checks and 11 arrests. And then in 2025, up through September, there were 61 incidences and 19 arrests. So in response to this, the sheriff has increased patrol here. because, there's a need and there's, you've been heard. So there is a response there. But one of the things also that the behavioral health team said was that there's an opportunity to build relationships with the people that come every day. And just for everyone's awareness, like, one thing that I learned during the pit counts is they sleep in the creek, and they usually stay up late, and then they sleep in late, and because it's cold in the morning. So most folks show up to the park here late morning, early afternoon, and stay into evening. And this is, behavioral health is, they do categorize this as an encampment, even though people aren't camping here. But because so many people spend so much time here, that's what they categorize it. And so on their, that's why it's part of their rounds now. So I did connect an email to you, Terry, with Elise Jones, who's the behavioral health director, to see if we can have some more communication happening directly with the board. But one of the recommendations is I start building relationships. Did Helen leave? Because she was here early. Okay, because we had this conversation, and Helen was really interested in, when behavioral health was here, about building these relationships and maybe having one of the folks that's there a lot be designated as the monitor to try and keep all their friends, hey, you're kind of getting out of line, and those are the kind of proactive relationship-based measures that could really help. The law enforcement piece is really important too, but that is less effective with building relationships. So I think it's really great that we keep having these conversations, and I think we're going to get somewhere. So I don't know where that is quite yet. But,
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
it would probably be a good idea too, and I don't know if that's already the case, but when you have an event here, especially if you're serving meals, and they show up, maybe, coordinate with behavioral health so that, one or two of their people are here to, act as, a buffer essentially, so that you don't have to worry about them and they deal with it.
The problem that we have is that they don't remember when they come in and try to threaten us. They're drunk, they're on something. One day they're, hi, how are you? I really like you. Let's, and then the next day they're off. They're off. And we never know when that's going to happen. We never know. And we have classes. They're walking from the annex into here. We rent the building. And our people are afraid. Simple. I mean, if they hear someone saying, I'm going to get you when you walk out the door, profanity, they don't want to come. Our workers don't want to come. If we don't have people helping us serve meals, we're not going to be able to do it. Because they clean, they serve, and if the community is scared, then we're dead.
No, I was just going to say, and that's why it's important to call dispatch or the crisis van is what it's called. And so getting you all of these numbers and having relationships with the county staff that can help you navigate through this is, I think, the most important thing that we can do right now so that you guys feel safe. Yeah.
So the crisis van is the number you gave us earlier, 800-900-2073, correct? I think we should all put that on our speed dial.
Well, I think when we talked about it last time, and Helen left, because I think it would be a great conversation also with the KBA. there's a flyer that has a phone number so that all the business owners know, like, if something happens, you know, if you're dealing with a situation like this, you know, call behavioral health or call the van or call law enforcement. And maybe a joint conversation at the KBA, since we've had these conversations here, would be really helpful too, so that the business owners know exactly what the resources are and how to respond. Did she do that? Okay,
I know it was discussed at one of the meetings.
Okay, good.
Meetings, and I know Jennifer calls the sheriff all the time.
yeah, she does, yeah.
And Tina, another they go all the time.
Yeah, I know, and they're being responsive, that's why they're coming more, doing more checks, making more arrests, because there is a need.
Any other questions?
Stole my thunder.
Okay, if not, thank you, Lars.
All right, thank you all.
And then, for anyone that wants to participate in the PIT count, that's the point in time count, the Continuum, Lake County Continuum of Care is the organization that takes the lead, and it is a big collaborative group, and Pastor Shannon is the chair. And Lake County, it's lakecoc.org is the website, and on the homepage, it has all the information about the pit count. It's a really big deal. So I would just encourage anyone that's interested to reach out to them and participate, because it is quite an eye-opening experience. And I'm really grateful for all the years that I've done it. And I will be here at least for a little bit on that day. Yeah. They do training, yes. Because it's an interview, you have to, you know, ask the right questions. So there is some training, but yeah. It's
Were there
not
any
very
online questions on the subject? None, okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Jessica. Okay, well, I think that concludes our meeting. Our next meeting will be in January 8th, same time, 6 p.m. We hope you all have a wonderful holiday week or weeks, if you get that much time. The county shuts down during what days?
Between Christmas and New Year's.
Okay, so if you got any business with the county, you better get on it. All right, thank you for coming.